Leah is my name. At the age of 20, I decided to pause my college studies last summer and returned home for a vacation. The events of that time remain etched in memory. The thrill of the moment enveloped me, igniting a surge of creativity within. I wondered, what if I could truly astonish my parents? Rolling my suitcase down the familiar streets of my small hometown, a wave of excitement washed over me. The element of surprise was entirely on my side, and the mere idea of their astonishment heightened the excitement of my arrival. I flung the front door wide, my heart pounding with anticipation at the idea of cozy embraces and the astonished expressions of my parents. Yet what I encountered was nothing but unsettling stillness. It struck me deeply they were still not back. Just as the disappointment began to take hold, a familiar voice pierced through the silence, sending chills racing down my spine. My little brother Luke had just entered the room. I entered the realm of adulthood at the tender age of 18. At that age, Luke stood a bit taller than I did, his broad smile illuminating even the dimmest shadows. "Oh, Luke," I exclaimed, setting my bags down and wrapping my arms around him in a warm embrace. It felt completely effortless, but wow, he truly appeared so mature. As Luke finally released his grip, I closed the door behind me and exhaled a long, resonant sigh that filled the stillness around me. The stillness. The atmosphere enveloping the house was dense and palpable. With each fleeting moment, a profound realization washed over me. I had truly found my way home. Following the lengthy journey from university, weaving through bustling buses and the turmoil of train stations, I simply yearned to cast aside the fatigue. I hurried to the shower, my anticipation building with each stride. The warm water cascaded over my skin, washing away the grime and fatigue that had accumulated. After weeks of tension, I finally experienced a soothing wave of tranquility enveloping me. The semester was a whirlwind filled with an endless array of tasks, looming deadlines, and the relentless hustle of academic life. As I stood beneath the cascading water, I allowed my shoulders to relax and released a long-held sigh. As I stepped outside, I slipped into a light summer dress that danced around me like a gentle breeze. The material was soft against my skin, truly comforting. The atmosphere exuded a relaxed energy. The ensemble enveloped her in a warm embrace, ideal for those moments when she sought refuge from the anxiety of anticipation. With each gentle step, I approached my sanctuary, the door swinging open to reveal a cozy and cherished place that evoked a sweet reminiscence. The vintage posters clung to the walls, echoes of a bygone era, while the bed was impeccably arranged, adorned with my cherished sheets, a soothing reminder of home. It felt as though I had been transported to another era surrounded by echoes of my former self. Yet a persistent unease lingered in my thoughts, intertwined with the relentless pressures of academia and the ceaseless expectations of my job. I felt adrift, as if my personal life was trickling away from me like grains of sand. The intimacy I once valued has diminished, creating a significant emptiness in its wake. Indeed, there were brief conversations and ephemeral instances that I drifted about like a flickering candle. Yet it held no significance. Nothing resonated within me. There seemed to be few opportunities to escape and seek solace in my small dorm room, where the delicate walls shared hushed secrets and inquisitive roommates were perpetually nearby. As I collapsed onto my bed, that thought lingered, trailing behind me like a shadow in the night. It transcended mere companionship. It was a journey of self-discovery, a reconnection with my true essence. I awoke once more at last, aligning with what I truly required. I grabbed my phone and began to scroll aimlessly. Yet before long my mind wandered into uncharted realms. As I reclined against the plush pillows, my fingers grazed my skin, igniting a thrill within me. An instinct surged within me, a compelling urge to explore and understand the world around me. powerful and undeniable. My fingers glided over my arms, following the gentle contour of mine. My collarbone grazed the gentle fabric of my dress. I exhaled a shaky breath, striving to remain grounded, permitting myself to feel and reconnect, finally easing into a state of relaxation after the challenging period I had endured. Suddenly, a knock at the door jolted me, yanking me from my reverie. My heart raced, and I nearly flung my phone aside. From the shadows, I heard Luke's voice calling from outside, with a swift motion. "Imap!" I adjusted my dress, a flutter of excitement stirring in my stomach as I beckoned him inside. With a deep breath, Luke grasped the doorknob, his heart pounding in his chest. He hesitated briefly, then stepped into the abyss. His thoughts swirled in disarray, yet his expression remained grave, a rarity for him. He lingered in the doorway, the atmosphere around us heavy with discomfort. At last, he moved, in nearer. Luke perched on the edge of my bed, his fingers running anxiously through his hair as if he were sifting through his thoughts in search of the perfect words to ease the tension. A persistent doubt lingered in my mind as I contemplated his intentions. The gravity of his presence signaled that whatever he wished to address was significant and required my undivided focus. He appeared anxious, shifting restlessly, and I could nearly sense the strain in the atmosphere surrounding us. He found it quite challenging to articulate his thoughts. I remained silent, allowing him the space to untangle the chaos in his mind. At last, the words were spoken. Initially, there was a sense of hesitation and uncertainty, but soon they erupted with energy, akin to a river rushing swiftly. He started sharing details about his girlfriend, a relationship that I understood had held significant meaning for him. Over the years, I had gathered a few odds and ends throughout the journey. Previously, they appeared utterly blissful, resembling a youthful pair swept up in a storm of untroubled affection, where each instant brimmed with delight and thrill. Yet beneath that flawless exterior, a more sinister truth was hiding. Luke shared with me the turmoil unfolding between them, a tempest of minor disputes and significant concerns. Despite his efforts, a feeling of despair settled in, murmuring that his actions would ultimately be in vain. She never attained the joy she sought. She would unleash all her frustrations on him, regarding issues he wasn't even aware of, and each argument drained him completely. He shared his feelings with her, yet he couldn't dispel this persistent uncertainty, questioning whether he could continue down this tumultuous path. What once brought him joy now felt like an unbearable burden he could no longer bear. As he recounted his struggles, I was taken aback by the extent of his transformation since that time. Our last meeting truly resonated with me. He had transformed entirely. He was no longer the boy I used to share laughter with and look after. He possessed a subtle depth that had previously escaped my attention. I was struck by the extent of his growth. It wasn't merely his striking appearance with those broad shoulders and sharp features. There was an underlying depth to him. He bore an air of maturity that was evident in every look and movement. His confidence was evident, a significant shift from the doubt he once carried. I found myself captivated by each word he spoke, all the while grappling with this unexpected revelation about him. He possessed an extraordinary allure that captivated those around him and truly held your focus. It was somewhat disconcerting and haunting to witness his transformation in that manner. He started to uncover aspects of himself that I had not noticed previously. I had never witnessed anything quite like it, peeling away layers as if it were shedding skin. He experienced the unending fatigue that accompanied being the one who constantly mended situations, bearing the burden of apologies even when he believed he shouldn't need to seek forgiveness. He admitted that the thought of ending things with her had entered his mind, yet he wrestled with whether he truly had the courage to follow through. I felt compelled to contact him to express something that could alleviate his suffering. Yet, The oppressive silence enveloped us, as though uttering even a few words might complicate everything further. It's difficult to articulate the profound nature of his struggle. I followed my instincts. I drew him near and embraced him firmly. The embrace was thick with genuine feeling, a bond that transcended mere courtesy or habit. A quiet assurance lingered, revealing that I truly understood him and was ready to stand by his side. In that fleeting moment, I cradled him close to me. An electric vibe filled the air, as if everything had transformed, as he released his grip, as I embraced him. A surge of warmth enveloped us, and in that moment, I became acutely aware of every detail about him. His hair grazed my cheek, radiating a soft warmth, and the scent of his cologne lingered in the air. His breathing gradually slowed, establishing a soothing rhythm that enveloped us. My hand moved naturally to his hair, softly sweeping it back. A gentle touch lingered beneath my fingertips, and in an instant, I found myself following the curve of his jaw down to the inviting warmth of his neck. It appeared to be merely a straightforward act. The atmosphere was charged, brimming with unexpressed emotions. He leaned into my touch, responding softly. My thoughts were a whirlwind, a clash of opposing feelings, waging war within me, each tugging me toward a different path. I was engulfed by uncertainty, trapped in a state of confusion, unable to comprehend why I couldn't simply halt or retreat. Perhaps it was the intense energy he radiated, or the fervent feelings enveloping us. No matter what it was, the feeling lingered with me. Unbeknownst to me, I found myself enveloped in a serene moment with him as we delved into a profound discussion about life and the journey of growing up. It was a swift choice, one of those moments that occur before you can even contemplate the consequences. He paused for a moment, astonishment evident on his face, but then he extended his hand toward the spot I had indicated, and an electric tension filled the atmosphere, blending uncertainty and intrigue around him. His touch was warm, slightly hesitant at first, as if he were uncertain, seeking that elusive balance between the desire to progress and the fear of overstepping boundaries. Gently, he began to draw delicate circles with his fingertips on my thigh, each motion gradually ascending, with an alluring purpose. My heart raced wildly, each beat resonating in my ears as a surge of warmth enveloped me, electrifying every nerve with exhilaration. A sense of uncertainty washed over me, yet an undeniable force was urging me onward, rendering any thought of retreat utterly impossible. Every nerve in my body ignited at his touch, awakening sensations I hadn't experienced in years. Time appeared to stretch as we remained entwined, his hand gliding gently, while I surrendered to him, my face nestled in the warmth of his neck. I felt as though I was enchanted, swaying and bending with each gentle caress he offered. As the tension reached its climax, the sudden creak of the front door swinging open shattered the atmosphere, causing me to recoil as if scorched, hastily adjusting my dress. He was a flustered wreck, his face flushing a deep crimson with shame. He recoiled, attempting to put some space between us. Before I could regain my composure, I heard my parents' voices slicing through the stillness, permeating the home. The atmosphere was charged with a blend of anticipation, concern, and a sense of calm. I gathered every ounce of my strength to rise and confront them. My thoughts were a chaotic whirlwind from all that had just transpired. They enveloped me in a warm embrace, their voices a flurry of inquiries, keen to understand why I hadn't forewarned them. My surprise visit, I stammered out a feeble excuse about wanting to surprise them, putting on a facade of normalcy. As we sat together at the dinner table, laughter and conversation filled the air, yet my thoughts lingered on that unsettling moment in my room. The memory of his touch lingered, an electric shock coursing through me, igniting a fire I couldn't extinguish. I found myself wondering if he was experiencing similar feelings. The remainder of the evening faded into a haze of uncertainty, ambiguity. As I exchanged laughter and conversation with my parents, a stirring within me began to draw my thoughts away from the comfort of that moment. That encounter with him lingered in my thoughts, refusing to fade away. The warmth of his touch, the response of my body, the electric energy lingering in the atmosphere, it enveloped me with a force I couldn't escape. No matter how hard I struggled against it, even while lying in bed that night, sleep eluded me, slipping away like grains of sand through my fingers, playful and tantalizingly distant. I tossed and turned in my restless bed, my mind a chaotic whirlwind, replaying every moment as if it were a film caught in an endless cycle. His intense gaze lingered in my mind long after we parted, and that gentle brush of his fingers ignited a warmth between us, forging an electric connection that felt undeniably real. The burden was immense as a tempest of thoughts and feelings swirled chaotically within my mind. My mind was alive with inquiries, each one stacking upon the previous, more intense than before. What was he contemplating? Did he carry the same burden I did? It wasn't precisely distressing, but it certainly felt altered. There was something palpable in the atmosphere just beyond the threshold of understanding. An unvoiced reality lingered between us, a weight we both sensed but couldn't articulate. Each glance exchanged was infused with unspoken emotions, trapping us in a tempest of ambiguity. I found myself unable to look away from him. I found myself completely captivated by the subtle nuances I had overlooked, such as the tightening of his jaw when he concentrated the gentle sway of his hair across his forehead, and the fluidity of his movements with each small detail concealing its own mystery. Whenever we encountered each other, my heart would race, and I'd find myself engulfed in a storm of reflections on every fleeting moment we experienced together. Did he notice how I was completely captivated? Did he experience that same pull? Or was he merely progressing, behaving as if nothing was occurring? What transpired? Despite my best efforts to alter my thinking, the burdensome weight on my mind remained unshakable. As my parents occupied themselves throughout the day, I found myself ensnared in a labyrinth of thoughts, each one more shadowy and suffocating than the previous. In the solitude of my room, I found myself ensnared in an endless cycle, revisiting that moment repeatedly, each time envisioning an alternate conclusion, a different decision that might have transformed it all. What if the door remained shut? What if we had simply continued on without any hesitation and relentless? The constant stream of questions left me feeling quite unsettled as the evening shadows stretched and danced around the room. I became entranced by the gentle glow of my phone, aimlessly scrolling through an infinite flow of content. It was at that moment that my dad entered the living room with a serious expression. He informed me that he and my mom had to step out for the night, due to some obligations pulling them away from the comforting atmosphere of home. He sincerely apologized for leaving me alone, but I reassured him that it was perfectly fine. I comforted him by saying that all was well. Once they departed, an eerie silence enveloped the house. It was merely the two of us, and the stillness enveloped us, amplifying even the faintest noises into something significant. I sensed myself slipping into the distance. My mind was a whirlwind, captivated by the enchantment of a book and the visuals on the screen. Could anything be more enticing than the thought of slipping away into a different realm? Yet I found it hard to dismiss the soothing sensation of his hand gently placed on my leg, the thrill of our proximity. The instant the idea emerged in my mind, it seized me and refused to release its grip, leaving me ensnared in contemplation. I battled the relentless turmoil within my thoughts, striving to find clarity amidst the confusion. Yet the allure proved irresistible. Pulling me further in echoes of the past lingered vivid and unmistakable, while the alluring invitation to surrender to my desires murmured enticingly in my ear. As the evening unfolded and the shadows stretched further, I began to sense it enveloping me, grappling with my thoughts until I arrived at a decision that transformed everything. The house was eerily silent, and the darkness weighed heavily, punctuated only by the soft sound of Luke's breathing filtering through the thin walls. My heart raced as I crept toward his room, my bare feet whispering against the polished floor. As I finally turned the handle and pushed the door ajar, an unsettling scene greeted me. There he lay, turned away from me, his back exposed in the dim light. He deliberately turned away from me. He appeared serene, inhaling gently and steadily in the gentle illumination of the night light. For a fleeting instant, I remained rooted in place, gazing at him, grappling with the burden of my choice, pondering if I could truly follow through. In that brief instant, my uncertainties vanished, and I found myself approaching his bed instinctively. I settled beside him, a sense of tranquility enveloping us as we savored this serene moment together. The bed emitted a gentle creak. I found myself beneath him, enveloped by the warmth emanating from his body, pulling me further into the experience. Initially, I remained completely motionless, captivated by the rhythm of his chest as it rose and fell. Yet as time passed, my breath began to quicken. Every breath came out as a frantic gasp, the tension escalating with each passing moment. Unable to restrain myself, I extended my hand and allowed my fingers to lightly graze his arm, cautiously stepping into uncharted territory. Before I realized it, he began to shift his breath, altering its cadence, transforming, indicating the beginning of consciousness. As he turned onto his back, a haze of confusion filled his gaze. Yet, as soon as he caught sight of me, a spark of recognition ignited within him. His astonishment was evident, his eyes expanding, uncovering the reality. In that fleeting instant, I interrupted him before he had the chance to say anything or reply. In a thoughtful manner, we took our seats beside one another, reflecting on all that had transpired and the transformations we had undergone. He paused, his muscles taut. He tensed for a moment at my touch. In that moment of surrender, he allowed me to take the lead and steer us ahead. In an instant, the world around us erupted into chaos. I experienced a vitality like never before. Every tiny detail stood out to me vibrant and striking. The warmth of his touch ignited a blaze within me. His fingers paused briefly, as if weighing the significance of this moment, before they began to move, with greater assurance reflecting his growing sense of ease. My heart raced uncontrollably, a frantic rhythm that resonated within my chest. A sound echoed in my ears as a chill coursed through my skin, igniting every nerve ending. I was utterly immersed in the moment, entirely absorbed by it. It possessed a genuine, unrefined essence that resonated with true sincerity. Flawlessness was of no significance. The essence lay in the bond we shared. An unspoken bond tied us together, a magnetic pull drawing us near. We merged seamlessly despite the unfamiliarity that surrounded us. An invisible line seemed to be drawn. We crossed a threshold, binding our destiny with no way to retreat. In a moment that felt electric and inevitable, I leaned in closer, bridging the distance that had separated us. Time seemed to elongate for just a fleeting moment. As my fingers grazed his shoulder, an unmistakable spark ignited in the atmosphere. In that fleeting moment, I drew nearer, and as our lips connected, it was a kiss brimming with all the words left unspoken. It erupted with a burst of energy, crackling with all that anticipation. The tension had been accumulating between us for what seemed like an eternity. With a gentle yet assertive touch, I guided him back, allowing him to sink onto the couch. Beneath my weight, I placed my hands on his shoulders, sensing him sink into the cushions as his hands instinctively settled on my waist, igniting a thrill within me. Our conversation continued effortlessly, revealing a profound bond with my brother. The exhilaration of being so near, as if our bodies were nearly fused, was incredibly intense. It was exhilarating. The kiss deepened, extending as though It could last an eternity, as if time itself paused to allow us to savor the moment. His hands encircled my waist, firm yet gentle, as if he sought to anchor me amidst the tempest of feelings swirling around us. My fingers naturally glided over his face, my thumbs brushing against the coarse stubble on his jaw, the warmth emanating from his skin, and the texture of his stubble beneath my touch ignited a wave of emotions within me as I tilted my head to discover the perfect angle for the kiss. A thrill surged within me when his lips slightly parted, urging me to draw nearer. I found myself completely immersed in the experience. The sensation of our bodies intertwined created a feeling of unity, and I seized the moment to influence the rhythm and energy of our connection. Embracing the role of leadership was exhilarating, enveloped in a profound closeness that was both intense and all-encompassing. His heartbeat pulsed against me, unwavering and powerful. There was an undeniable connection between us that was palpable. His hands were firm on my waist as if he feared I might vanish. We inhaled more profoundly, harmonizing with the rhythm of our lips as they met. At times, I would retreat slightly to fully absorb him, his half-closed eyes, the gentle arch of his lips, and the way his chest rose and fell as if he were fighting to draw in air. It was a unique experience, and in those fleeting instances when our gazes met, I sensed that I was the focal point of his existence, and my heart surged with a fervor that nearly shattered me. I moved in nearer my lips, grazing his jaw softly, gliding over his cheek, and playfully teasing the edge of his mouth before our lips met once more. Every kiss was a universe unto itself, some playful and fleeting, while others lingered endlessly, as if we were savoring the essence of time. His hands moved with an exhilarating intensity, gliding down my back and my thighs. His touch lingered slow and deliberate. It felt as if he was inviting me to take charge, placing his trust in me to create the atmosphere. His restraint only heightened my yearning. Being atop him felt natural, as if this was my destined place. His body responded to mine, sending shivers coursing through me. Each subtle movement sparked a flame within me as he sought to draw nearer. Even in our proximity, there was an exhilarating thrill. I feel both powerful and utterly exposed simultaneously. As I stood there, a sense of control over my destiny washed over me, yet I felt so vulnerable in his presence. I longed for him to understand the depth of my desire, the countless moments I envisioned him beneath me, and how the electric tension between us ultimately erupted into something tangible. His hands gripped my waist with a fervent urgency, and, as I gazed into his eyes, I was met with a torrent of raw emotion that ignited a deep yearning within me. It transcended mere attraction. It was a profound and intense connection. A powerful desire surged within me to dismantle the barriers that had kept us apart. Yet just as everything reached its zenith, reality surged in like an unstoppable tide. As the night unfolded, I reflected on the transformations we had undergone. How distinct we had become, in contrast to our former selves, hurrying toward whatever awaited us next. This was the pivotal moment that had the potential to alter everything. I yearned to explore further, to transcend mere kisses and soft caresses. An incredible surge of exhilaration coursed through me, ignited by his every action. I took a moment to gather my thoughts, maintaining a steady and soft tone, and inquired, "Do you have anything?" His face transformed entirely, initially reflecting confusion as he processed my words, then gradually lighting up as understanding dawned on him. A faint flush crept across his cheeks as he locked eyes with me, offering a bashful yet enchanting smile. There was a trace of shame in his voice as he confessed, "I never imagined. I never thought we would." My gaze was fixed on him, a tempest of disbelief and frustration swirling within me. At merely 18, he found himself entangled in the tumultuous whirlwind of youthful romance, steering through the exhilarating journey with his girlfriend, all the while his room remained devoid of any condoms. I released a frustrated chuckle, and shook my head, observing him fumble through his words, attempting to grasp his predicament, mumbling something about how he never anticipated this of happenings this evening. It possessed a unique blend of allure and exasperation, simultaneously. "Are you serious, Luke?" I asked, chuckling lightly, my heart pounding as I worked to maintain the cheerful atmosphere. What type of boyfriend is taken by surprise when it matters most? He merely shrugged his expression, a blend of helplessness and a hint of regret. "I suppose I'm not as prepared as I believed." He murmured, his voice, a faint whisper laced with uncertainty. Inhaling deeply, I rested my head against. I leaned, my head against his chest, seeking solace in the rhythmic thump of his heart as I contemplated my next move. The reality was, I simply couldn't find the will to cease. I felt utterly helpless to accomplish it. My feelings for him were intense, like I could no longer overlook. The idea of turning my back and jeopardizing it all weighed heavily on my mind. At that instant, I resolved to alter my path, prepared to face whatever lay ahead with a fresh wave of determination. If he's not prepared, that's perfectly acceptable to me. I intended to turn this evening into an unforgettable experience for him. I leaned in my body, brushing against his, gliding from his hips down to his thighs. As soon as I sensed him regain his breath, a wave of confidence surged within me, like an intense flame. His hands resting on my waist began to move, tentative yet inquisitive. The atmosphere grew denser with an unspoken tension, suggesting that something was on the unfolding. In that very instant, I gazed up at his legs, my fingers gently brushing against his knees before gliding along his thighs. His body tensed, as if a charged moment lingered between us, almost as if he were bracing for what was about to unfold. It was evident that he was fighting to maintain his composure. His breath caught slightly, revealing the turmoil simmering within him. Each subtle shift he made betrayed his unease. His fingers clutched the couch cushions tightly, and I sensed the tension in his thighs beneath my hand. My chest heaved and fell with deep, irregular breaths. A gentle smile appeared on my lips as I leaned in to kiss him once more, this time a bit lower. The tension in his body escalated with each move I made. His reaction was utterly enchanting. I relished the knowledge that I held this influence over him, how my simple presence and a soft touch could render him so exposed. A mischievous smile danced on my lips as I pressed another kiss to his stomach, my hands wandering deeper, unexplored realms. His skin radiated warmth beneath my fingers, and each subtle shift elicited a shiver from him. Seeing him release everything, aware that I was the catalyst for this exquisite turmoil, sent a shiver of excitement through me. As I continued, I felt him beginning to release his concerns. He sank into the couch, surrendering to the inviting warmth and releasing the tension he had clung to for ages. He began to dance alongside me, moving with a soft rhythm. Initially, his hips glided effortlessly, while his hands returned to my shoulders, as if seeking something firm to grasp. With each labored breath, he drew the soft words escaping his lips, ignited a flame within me. His sensitivity was genuinely enchanting. Every soft motion appeared to intensify his responses. His body moved with a subtle fervor, drawing me further into his longings and exposing the depth of his yearning that ignited an unexpected passion within me. Understanding that he was utterly immersed in the experience, entirely at my mercy, heightened the thrill of the situation. Then he released a soft, nearly imperceptible groan, and it sent a warm wave coursing through me. I halted, gazing at him, his head tilted back, lips slightly parted. He shut his eyes, surrendering completely to the incredible atmosphere enveloping us. He was enchanting, utterly exposed, and I was taken by surprise, and it ignited a powerful desire within me to continue onward. As the show concluded, a storm of feelings surged within me. The rush that once surged within me was beginning to wane, yet I could still sense a vibrant rhythm in my heart. With a heavy heart, I rose from the couch, feeling burdened by all that had transpired, as if enveloped in a dense mist. My thoughts were ensnared in a web of doubt, clouding my ability to think clearly. A fragment of my being lingered in the profound intensity of the experience, absorbing its vibrant energy. I felt as if I were ensconced in a fragile bubble where nothing else held significance and everything seamlessly fell into alignment. Yet I found myself enveloped in silence, grappling with my own uncertainties, prompting me to cast a fleeting look behind. My heart raced as I caught sight of him lounging on the couch, appearing almost like a specter in the space. His chest rose and fell rhythmically, each breath a genuine struggle to grasp the fleeting moment, the breath that floated away. Even with his eyes closed, he appeared serene, as if he had just returned from an extraordinary adventure. His body was clearly still vibrating from the experience. I simply couldn't overlook that. As I cleared my throat to shatter the thick silence, I attempted to remain composed, yet my thoughts were racing in every direction. So you've truly made your move, have you? As he finally opened his eyes, our gazes intertwined. A wild blend of curiosity and confusion sent a slight shiver down my spine. In that fleeting moment, his demeanor shifted, teetering between a sly grin and the gravity of my question, causing the atmosphere around us to feel slightly askew. Then he nodded, as if he had reached a decision. "No," he replied softly, his voice unwavering. I arched my eyebrow, gazing at him as I attempted to unravel all the complex details laid out before me. A surge of incredulity washed over me, rendering me momentarily at a loss for words. He stood before me as if conjured from the depths of my mind, yet he was not the individual I had envisioned. There was an unmistakable difference in him. It felt almost dreamlike, as if the truth of what had just occurred was just beyond my grasp, patiently waiting for me to fully absorb it. I fell silent, burdened by the heaviness of my thoughts. With a heavy heart, I turned and exited the room, treading softly with each step I wrestled, with the turmoil swirling in my mind. I sensed him moving on the couch behind me, yet I fought the impulse to glance over my shoulder. As I strolled through the shadowy corridor, the recent events loomed over me like a suffocating shroud. Nervous energy coursed through me, each emotion striking like a jolt as my thoughts whirled in a chaotic mix of guilt and confusion. What had I just initiated? A shiver coursed through me as I understood I had crossed a line. A sudden awareness struck me, one I had never recognized before. It evoked an unusual sensation, making it difficult to articulate the profound nature of this experience. My adrenaline surged, my heart raced, and I experienced a profound connection that elevated my spirit. Yet concurrently, I felt this persistent knot in my stomach that simply refused to dissipate. It was an odd blend of sensations, both correct and incorrect, resembling a complex puzzle in my mind that eluded my understanding. I could truly sense this energy surging within me, propelling me onward. The excitement of the moment consumed me, causing me to lose sight of what might come next. As the thrill diminished, I found myself trapped in a loop, revisiting every moment in my mind. The memory of his gaze lingers the way our bodies resonated together, and how he effortlessly mirrored my every move. The sheer intensity of it all felt profoundly real, and perhaps that's what rendered it truly unforgettable. It was an emotion unlike anything I had ever felt before I leaned against the frigid wall of the dim hallway, shutting my eyes tightly as I struggled to catch my breath, wrestling with the weight of my guilt. Yet a part of me truly longed to return to that moment. Each heartbeat brought back the excitement of those days, sparking a flame within me that refused to be extinguished. An overwhelming urge to seek clarity consumed me. A persistent question lingered in my mind. Was my action truly justified? Was it truly worth it? Did I make a mistake? Is it right for me to feel guilt over this fleeting moment? As I made my way back to the room, my heart raced, a tempest of feelings churning within me, leaving me to ponder my next move. Yet one thing was unmistakable. This night would linger in my memory. No matter what I chose or how I felt, it would linger like a shadow that refused to depart. As I pondered, the question lingered in my mind. Is this truly the correct path I needed to uncover the truth, as I couldn't be the only one experiencing such profound uncertainty?